Welcome to Instant Discussions, episode 35. Oh, now I'm thinking we should have waited to put us on episode 37.
Oh, well. 37.
Oh, well.
In a row.
It's just only because it's so close to that one.
Right.
All right, I'm going to hit play on Netflix to play the movie right now.
Well, we're just the 35th one.
Yeah. Did I even say... Oh, I hit play on the movie before I said what it was, but it's on the title of the thing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Clerks!
Whatever. If they didn't figure that out, we can just
1994 film, Clerks.
Too bad they can't rewind this tape that they're watching of this.
Beginning with the little animated sequence that used to be the logo. They've used to clown for all of his films, and they changed
Pixar
it
did
a
this,
little
right?
later. Yeah, Pixar animated this one. It's one of their early ones.
It's really nice of Pixar to animate this one.
Yeah, very good. Such simple animation there.
Doggy.
So, Tony, when did you first see Clerks?
I watched it in high school because everybody was talking about it.
The same time I watched it. So we watched it the same year.
And I was like,
we were in
this
high
is
school.
amazing. I forgot what year. It was probably like my senior year or something.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it had already been out in a while, and it was on VHS, and somebody had a copy.
Yeah, it only made it onto something like 30 screens or 50 screens at the most ever. So it never got a wide release. But it's somewhere in the trivia track it says that it's the it's most stolen video from rental stores. It has that record. So I guess it's
pretty funny.
Kind of popular counterculture type movie,
Yeah.
especially for video store people. Just take it. There aren't many movies about people who work in video stores, so you kind of see how that would work. I can't remember how I first came across this movie, but I first saw it in high school. Although the first Kevin Smith film I saw was Mallrats, so that was my introduction, and then coming back into this one. So this one was your first time seeing it.
Yeah.
But you had seen...
I saw Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Dogma.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen anything else.
Yeah.
I can't speak, I'm not really sure.
But this is where it all began. Though he did do a documentary before that for film school, but it wasn't even released until the 10th anniversary DVD of Clerks. So.
Documentaries are kind of on their own level anyway, so...
Yeah. Though that documentary is kind of interesting to watch because it was supposed to be a documentary about a transvestite hooker, I believe. But when they got everything set up, and on the day they were going to start filming, they couldn't find her. So it's a documentary about the making of the documentary that failed. How it never happened.
Sounds horrible.
It's kind of interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting look at how things didn't work out.
So remember how we hired you to do lighting? You're now doing an interview.
What? Yeah, exactly. All the crew gets interviewed in there. I think even Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier, who directed that one, they're shown in silhouette, like they're not showing their faces.
Oh, that's funny.
Like they're ashamed of it. So the story behind Clerks has been documented lots of times because Kevin Smith talks a lot. So it's been out there on how it came out to be. But
he quit school because of it, right?
I think part of that, because he went to film school, Vancouver Film School where he met Scott Mosier. There was something about whichever one, they had said, like, whichever one of us finishes a script first will help the other one make the movie, or the other one will help them make the movie. So he finished this first. I don't know if he dropped out just to make this movie, or he dropped out and then later made this movie. But he didn't finish film school.
And that's our most famous, like...
I don't know. I didn't check into the Vancouver Film School, but he is... Yeah, I would think he would be one of the most famous graduates there.
And he put everything on credit cards, right? He paid for everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Even a list
that was
here,
a gamble, dude.
As I've got this here, Clerks 10th Anniversary Crazy DVD, signed by a few of the people in it. A few. Try to get most all of them. But in it, it's got this booklet, and part of it in the booklet has the list of all of the credit limits, all the credit cards he took out.
Oh, wow.
Like for the budget of the film. You hear nowadays there's talk of independent movies
that cost $1 million.
Yeah, the term of independent film gets thrown around a lot, and this was kind of around the beginning of independent cinema. Not of this era of independent cinema. You get to they got to the point where cameras are now more available. Not as much as it is now, where we've got it on the back of every phone and everything. The quality of cameras that we have now are you get really good quality digital stuff, but on this one, the film cameras were at least a lot cheaper, and you could start making these independent films. The budget of this movie ended up being $27,575. So, yeah, $27,000, not much at all. And then for post-production and marketing, for them to get it into theaters, Miramax spent another $230,000. So they spent $200,000 more to market.
Just to market it,
yeah, they way more than the budget to actually make the film that they got and were able to show in Sundance. And then it ended up making $3 million. So they made a bunch more back on it, but Kevin was...
That's in the box office, $3 million?
Yeah, in box office.
Because they made so much money after this.
Oh, yeah.
Cult following.
Sales. Yeah. But then a lot of that gets tied up with Miramax and film, the contracts through that, because they bought the film. Yeah, that gets difficult. You know what's funny is this is a Disney movie.
Oh, Miramax?
Yeah, Disney bought Miramax before this movie came out. And this movie is released through Miramax as the title, but since Disney owned Miramax, actually, this is actually a Disney movie. Wow. Just an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was the thing at the time, because Disney could release movies, especially R-rated movies.
Well, I mean, that happens,
and not,
but that happens like more often than not.
Didn't they have a soft porn, like, a long time ago?
They
had their...
Maybe.
They went under a different title, though, not Disney.
Although this movie was originally rated NC-17, and then changed to R without editing at all. Even though the movie has no violence,
it's just got a boner through sheets.
Like, yeah, it's got a boner through sheets. It does have nudity. They show the magazine.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the only nudity. That's the only nudity.
But that's like a close-up of a vagina. That's pretty.
It's pretty graphic, but it's.
I was actually when I saw that again, I was like, "That's a full vagina." I was very surprised.
That is black and white, and it's kind of grainy.
Doesn't matter if it's black and white.
Oh. Makes it a little tougher to see.
Oh, did you get the worst ones? Oh yeah, sour cream and onion.
What?
It might be the worst Pringles.
What are you talking about? I like
Ooh,
the original too.
No, they're not the best ones. I don't know. I just don't like the barbecue ones. They didn't have that many options where I went to get this because I had to go to the local convenience store. One thing I noticed in the movie, rewatching it this time, I think I've noticed it a few times because I've seen this many times. The Doonesbury shirt that he's wearing there.
Oh, it's Doonesbury. I knew it was a joint, but...
No. They don't really care about brand names in this. I noticed that a lot.
Everywhere.
Like, if it's a really high budget movie, you're going to see a lot of brand names, and if it's a really low budget movie, you're going to see a lot of brand names. But if it's in between, they cover them all up and they go so they. But yeah, brand names everywhere on this one because they don't care about that.
I thought it was weird that Jay's wearing a Sharks hat and then switches over to the Devil's hat later on.
There's no consistency in any of that. Just a fan of hockey. Doesn't matter which team it is there. There are only two actors that they auditioned for this movie.
One was a chick, right?
Yeah, Miriam Gigliotti played Veronica, and then Brian O'Halloran who played Dante. Who actually they knew each other for a while before that. Everyone else in this movie are friends and family of Kevin, or people who work in the store, regulars in the store, customers. Guy the older man who is yelling about the video store not being open and loses his keys.
Oh, that asshole!
He was a regular customer in the store.
He's like, this guy's an asshole. We need this asshole for our movie.
He does a great job too. Like,
he's a perfect. You can tell that's who he is. Like, he's an asshole.
Well, there's a lot of performances in this that aren't perfect, that aren't great. But it's surprising once you know that and know that none of these are professional actors. Then, like, the people that are really good in there, they kind of stand out.
Like Jason Mewes. That is Jason Mewes. Until he tries to throw some dialogue in there and he fucks it up.
And Jeff Anderson, who auditioned, he played Randall, he auditioned for Jay's part.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because
He's such a good Randall.
Kevin was going to play Randall.
Oh.
Kevin Smith wrote that part for himself.
He would have sucked.
Yeah, he wouldn't have as we get a Randall. Like, they've become those iconic characters of Dante and Randall, who are actually kind of written as two halves of Kevin Smith. It's his two sides. And then Kevin Smith's girlfriend that he based the two girls on shows up later in the movie too.
Okay.
So it's interesting that a lot of people auditioned for different parts and became them, and especially for Jason Mewes, his part is him.
Oh yeah,
and that's just him, like being a heightened version of himself.
But I don't think Kevin Smith is a good actor. I don't think he would be good at acting personally.
No, I don't think so. I think he works in the right roles. There are certain times. No,
Yeah,
he doesn't talk. But he's in that Die Hard movie, Live Free or Die Hard. He played the
Even then, he wasn't the best actor.
Not the best. In Daredevil, not great stuff. But if he's playing a nerd,
but as Randall, though, I'm glad that he decided to see that he was that part.
Well, once you see Jeff Anderson audition for that, then you're like, all right, never mind. But Kevin says that's why Randall has all the best lines in the movie. Because it was written for him. So it's the way it starts out. The movie becomes a buddy movie, but you don't see Randall for quite a long time in the beginning.
Well, it's interesting. You said starting off. Starting off for me, I haven't watched this in a while, and I was like, "There's some corny ass scenes in this movie."
Yeah.
Like right at the beginning when he's sleeping inside the closet and falls out. I'm like, okay, But when they start talking about the smoking thing and then the Star Wars stuff, it's like that's what I remember. That's what I love. That's what made me be like, this is amazing. Oh my god.
Because these are, I think, he's written into the script all these conversations that he's had in stores, and this is the life of Clerk. Hadn't mentioned this before but people, if you're not familiar with the Clerk story and everything behind this, this is where Kevin Smith worked in both the convenience store.
It's his actual one, though, right? Isn't it this actual one?
It's this actual one. They didn't build a set for any of this. They shot this at night while the store was closed, because it wasn't a 24-hour convenience store. So they could only shoot at night, and that's why the shutters are closed in the beginning of it. He wrote that.
Made a reason for it.
Yeah, wrote that into there, because nowadays, if they had more money, they could floodlight into there from the outside, but they couldn't afford light kits or anything.
Yeah.
So they just read in, he can't open the locks because there's gun in the locks, so the shutters are closed all the time.
So what I'm wondering, I want to know what Fresh Eyes thinks about it.
Fresh Eyes?
He hasn't seen it at all. Because me watching this, I was thinking that, he might not like this at all.
That's one of the things I thought about.
I remember you guys said it last time.
We're both worried.
I'm not really sure you're going to like this stuff. I don't know.
So what did you think about it? What were your first impressions after you started watching it?
My first impressions?
Mm-hmm. Walk us through your thought process. You hit play, there's a clown.
I hit play, and I really felt like, this is a film that I can probably be watching in the background, and that's where it should be. To be honest, there are a lot of moments in it that, I found funny. It wasn't that it was a movie that I necessarily was just all in-betweeners. But, I'll always have to go back to that damn show, because I don't.
It's...
Oh my god. Anyway,
it's not a perfectly done movie. It's and that's why Mallrats was the first one that I came into, and for me that one was a lot funnier. That one, especially for the time when I'm looking at it, but that one had more laughs in it, and it was much tighter of a film. This one, it's one of those things where in a lot of comedies I don't really try to classify movies as comedies a lot. There's some funny parts in it, but a lot of it is just the not laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
But that kind of it's a funny situation that they're in, or thinking about dealing in that business, and
Well, that's
how you feel at work.
That's partly where I got, because I have been a convenience store.
Yeah, and
So
that's why I kind of turned
me,
around on this might be more interesting for you.
Like, particularly one scene was really interesting. Almost like, I did that. That happened to me while I was working.
The sex in the bathroom?
No.
Oh, okay. You didn't
Sorry.
have sex with the guy in the bathroom?
Sadly, no one came in on my dead body. But
I thought it was going to be you being the alive guy, but
no, it was like, and it wasn't it wasn't specifically like exactly what happened or whatever. But me and a coworker were talking about like sexual things, like just aloud.
Yeah,
because we were just good friends, and we were just talking, and we didn't realize someone had walked in.
Yeah,
and then like both of us like I freeze because I finally realize this person's over here out at the corner of my eye getting coffee, and I'm like. And then my friend is just like, what? And I was just like, and I just like turn around and I just start going and doing business, and I'm kind of just laughing at myself, and then she realizes it. We're just laughing so hard. Luckily, the customer doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they just start
turned on.
They're just laughing too. And it was so funny. Like the moment that it occurred to me.
Well, that's the thing you get in this too is sometimes when they're getting into those conversations, the person in there joins in on the conversation as part of it. Sometimes they're offended by the conversation. It depends on the conversation they're having and the people that are around them. So.
Yeah, it is crapshoots like that. It's always ridiculous and stupid and like. It's either like completely cool or it's completely not cool, and that's how it usually is.
Did you ever get called in on your day off at that job?
Oh, yeah. They tried to call me in. Sometimes I didn't go, though.
You wouldn't go.
It was just as if I wanted the money and I wanted the hours. All right, I go. But if I didn't, I didn't, like...
You miss adventures like this.
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, generally at a bigger...
This is what I want. No, I'm not like this guy. I'm just like, I could say no. I don't
I think this is because it's such a smaller company there. The smaller owned store.
Yeah.
That you have that there's more of the familiarity with the owner of it, and then feel more of an obligation to go.
The convenience store I worked at was owned by my boss.
It was owned by your boss?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. That's good.
So
Smaller.
I mean, you could call it smaller.
Well,
yeah. Was he Asian?
Yes.
Not that it's a stereotype, but
no, not at all. All the brand names in this. They never call out any of the cigarette names.
No, Marlboro.
They have them all behind them, but they never call them out. They just say, "Have a pack of cigarettes." They did that purposely because of the anti-cigarette thing in the beginning, and they didn't want to
piss anybody off.
Yeah.
Oh,
You avoid lawsuits that
that's smart.
But they named Chulies.
Chulies gum.
Yeah.
Is that a real guy?
Best gum ever.
And didn't know of it.
Just kind of no clue.
I don't know gums. What from gums? This movie. Kevin Smith has talked about the movie that inspired him to be a filmmaker was Richard Linklater's Slacker, which is on. I didn't see if it was on Netflix. I actually saw it's on Crackle.
I watched it on Crackle.
Okay.
A while ago. I don't know if it's still on.
I rented that one from Netflix on DVD way back when because I wanted to see the movie that inspired him. And the reason that one inspired him so much is because it was such a simply done movie. They're kind of passing the camera around.
It was simply done. I didn't like it.
No, I didn't like it as much. It didn't inspire me as much as him. But that's the kind of thing with this one is I watched it at the right time where I wanted to make movies. This one and Pulp Fiction are two that I saw around the same time. And both came out in '94. Both were heralded as independent features, but I wouldn't really call Pulp Fiction an independent movie at all. Not at all. Reservoir Dogs even is one before that. He lucked into getting over $1 million budget for that.
Yeah,
one.
this is like pretty.
This is way more low budget than anything Tarantino's ever done.
Yeah,
and Kevin Smith even says this is the only independent film he's ever done. He doesn't consider anything else independent, even though other people at the time were calling things independent that weren't that. Because this one he didn't have any studio involvement with at all until it was already done,
finished.
Yeah, and he didn't even have any financial backing for it. It was all done independently. Nobody knew pretty much. they had learned what they were doing, but they hadn't done it before.
So they didn't do it on Kickstarter?
No Kickstarter at the time. Yeah, not even that. That's like nowadays you see like, oh, we want to shoot this movie, we're going to put it up with Kickstarter, and you can get some funds for it.
Yeah.
This is, nope, you got to sell your possessions and max out a bunch of credit cards. So, when I had seen Pulp Fiction, that was a movie where I was like, oh, this is what I'd love to make someday, but I'd never be able to do that good of quality to make that stuff. And then I see this one, and it's the movie that I'm thinking, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Do
you know who this inspired? Who talks about all the time?
No.
Is Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright.
Oh.
Simon Pegg said that, I don't know if you watched Spaced Out on Netflix also. He says, this is the first time or Spaced. He said, this is when I found out that I could, write stuff of me talking about stuff I like.
Yeah.
And he's like, and it blew his mind, and then he just started, writing stuff, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Just two guys talking about stuff they like, talking about their life. It's a very dialogue-heavy movie. They add in some stuff going on, like the painting the nails scene in the beginning. That wasn't written into the script. Originally, it was just them two talking to each other, but that would have been very boring to just watch two people talking to each other. So it gives them a little more to watch with the painting the nails. It looks more realistic as they're talking. But still, I can see why this is a harder movie for a lot of people to get into than something like Mallrats, because it's just this black and white, dialogue-heavy movie. Yeah. But it's just so simplistic. Shot where he works at night. But
they have a few day shots.
Yeah, they do some day shots, and they could shoot at. They had to stop shooting at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So they could have gotten some before that, or shoot the exteriors while the store is open. Mm-hmm. That's always possible. They just can't shoot in the store during hours. So I don't know. I became a big fan of this, the kind of the whole series of movies, not just this movie, because the second one that he made after this, Mallrats, takes place the day before. So a prequel before George Lucas ever did prequels. Because they go to Julie Dwyer's funeral in this one, and they reference her dying in Mallrats, or she had died the night before Mallrats.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, but also there's a limited storytelling film. Not so limited because I do move around a lot, but mostly taking place within the stores.
You know, I just
and taking place in one day.
I realized, to me, this is kind of like a set, like a comedy set. Like, you could break it down to a comedy set, and then they just film them talking about the stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like stand-up. And pretty simple with that. I can't remember. I lost my train of thought there, but definitely.
I wonder if they experienced the Gatorade thing because they were filming in a store, and if that was, do you know?
Oh,
if that was a thing where all the crew were like, "Can I just? It's right there. Like, can we just get a Gatorade?" And like,
there was some mention of that. I had missed it when I was listening to the commentaries of. They'd be taking stuff from the store, but they keep track of it, and they would pay for it afterwards.
Okay.
But that could have easily happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to run out of Gatorade. Yeah. But this. And this movie too. It led on to his films inspired Judd Apatow as well. Went on to make things like Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin and all that. And he went on, he just came out with This Is 40. So he had done like his earlier films to show up what is like in his 30s, kind of a representation of that. Before that had done the high school stuff. So like tracking through his life, kind of growing up. That's somewhat what Kevin Smith's done with Clerks when he came out with Clerks 2. Written 10 years after Clerks. So Clerks takes place in his mid-20s. They're all supposed to be around 25 in this one. Or actually 22.
Yeah, no, 22.
Yeah, they say 22. They're actually 25 when they're filming this one. But they're supposed to be 22 when they film this one. Clerks 2, they're in their 30s. and then he's writing Clerks 3, or actually finished writing Clerks 3, which is going to be them in their 40s.
I thought he said he was going to film anything else.
He says a lot of things. He says
liar.
He's got 3 projects coming up now. He's got 2 movies, and
he's the hockey one, I know.
Yeah, Hit Somebody was going to be a movie, and now it's going to be a miniseries.
Huh.
So, yeah. So he says a lot of things about that. Yeah. So this kind of follow them through these other films. They take off and follow Jay and Silent Bob and kind of go through their adventures, and they get a little wackier.
A lot wackier.
Yeah, and it goes on, like, you follow them through Clerks to Mallrats to Chasing Amy. So, like, Clerks leaves them as next to a liquor store. Mallrats, they're hanging out in a mall for some reason. And then Chasing Amy. So in Mallrats, they do all these whacking adventures of Jay and Silent Bob. Mm-hmm. In Chasing Amy, 2 of their friends have turned Jay and Silent Bob into comic book characters, Blunt Man and Chronic. Mm-hmm. And then they're collecting royalties off of the comic books, character likeness.
I think I've seen that one.
All right. And Chasing Amy that one was like Clerks got a lot of the independent acclaim for what they were able to do with such limited budget, just do on their own. Mallrats got no acclaim when it came out because it was following Clerks as this brilliant independent movie, and now they do this silly comedy,
which was awesome.
Which
it was very
later became a big favorite because it was really funny. But the critics at the time comparing it to Clerks, so. But if you look at it as a comedy compared to Clerks, because they didn't think of Clerks that much as that big of a comedy. It wasn't thought of as a comedy as much. It's just it's an independent film.
Horrible signature.
Yeah, Jason Mewes just is like...
he's heroin addict.
Some of them are quicker than others. They really like to sign stuff. Kevin Smith's really friendly, always likes to sign things. So I've got everything signed by him. And then, Stan Lee. Stan Lee autographed him Mallrats. I had to bring that to when I met Stan Lee, because he's in that movie. So then Dogma is that's like the big religious epic that he did. And at the end of Clerks, in the credits, at the very end of the credits, Jay and Silent Bob will return in Dogma. Because he had Dogma written. Dogma was the one he was planning next. Mallrats was more quickly thrown together afterwards, that Chasing Amy put together after that. But he was always planning Dogma. So then when he finally got to do that one, that was his big film with that. So then after all of that craziness that's going on in Jay and Silent Bob's life, they finally come back with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which builds upon all of the past films. Not really Dogma so much. There's some references to Dogma products and things, like Buddy Christ and Nail Cigarette.
But you forgot about his shitty movie.
That's not part of the series.
Oh, okay.
There's no tie-in with that.
The tie-ins, okay.
This is how the whole
because he did
series
Jersey
comes
Girl,
through.
which everyone knows is a piece of shit.
No, it's not.
Not
just
funny
it
at
came
all.
Out at the time.
No, it's a horrible movie. The best part is when J-Lo dies at the beginning.
Nope. I disagree. I think it's an alright movie.
There's nothing redeeming.
So Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which then they go back to the Quick Stop in there with Dante and Randall working there.
Which is
super
silly movie. That's the silliest.
That's the silliest of them. Just it's a wacky cartoon movie. Kind of closest to Mallrats in its silliness, but even it's way more silly. It's just
with Luke Hamill in there. Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker. Same thing.
Either one of the two.
Mark Skywalker, Luke Hamill.
So then after that, they made Clerks, the TV series, made on ABC. Because Disney owned them, so ABC.
Which
Disney,
instead of drugs, they sold
fireworks. So that brings it back to the Clerks, but it's the silliness of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back into a cartoon.
And it's amazing. If nobody's seen the Clerks animated series, it's really funny.
Yeah,
it is really well written.
Only 6 episodes ever made. Only 2 episodes ever aired. And that's one of the things with anything that has a short life like that, or a lot of the great things that have a short life, they become better because they don't get cheapened over time.
Mm-hmm.
Things like things like Firefly. There's a huge following with Firefly because that only got a short run. If it had gotten a longer run, it would have then become. It might not have been as great later on, but because it's so short, it's that great. So this one, it's just it did really well with that. Then they get back to the more serious nature and make the sequel of Clerks 2, which is all covered up with more signatures of everything. As Jason Mewes.
What did he say? I fuck.
No, it's ING.
I fucking love you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Jason Mewes wrote to me. Because he does. Jeff Anderson. I don't know whoever went on. Here is Trevor Furr. I don't know who signed that one. Anyway, so they get back to the roots in Clerks 2. You know, not going to give away anything with that because we just watched Clerks 1. But it re-follows their story. It still has it's a little more silly than this movie is. Though this one does have like the Looney Tunes music in there, like little Warner Brothers Looney Tunes sounds occasionally in there. So there's like some silliness thrown in there, but it's not that. It's still more down to earth, not as cartoony. So Clerks 2 has a little bit of that cartoony in there, but it's mostly back down to reality with this.
See, here's my favorite scene, and when I thought that this movie was amazing, when they talk about
Star Wars.
The Star Wars.
the Star Wars,
scene.
the
contract,
the contractors on there, and I was like, oh my god, I never thought of that. I was like, this is awesome.
It's the beginning of that kind of thinking of, because Star Wars is, you know, such a fan favorite movie, it's a great sci-fi stuff, and this was the kind of start of the thinking that Robot Chicken has now taken over, Family Guy has been doing. The thought of, what about everyone else that's in there? Because you're thinking about the main characters, but what about Death Star 2, incompleted? There's the workers on there. And that's, this scene does kind of really show that part that Kevin Smith has taken on with talking about pop culture, talking about comic books and sci-fi
and jerking off.
Yeah. Like that's
about sucking your own dick,
all that kind of stuff. It's the sex and comic.
And that's the thing too. Like this is stuff that I talk about with my friends. So when I was younger, especially to see it on film, you know, we didn't have the internet then.
No, most movies aren't.
Holy shit, this is amazing! I talk like this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the internet before the internet with the comment threads and that. It's there weren't movies about convenience store workers before this, and there weren't movies about people talking about other movies throughout the whole thing. I mean, you get some of that in some Woody Allen stuff as he's talking about other movies there, but not really in this way. Just the casual hanging out with friends and talking. It's kind of like, it's kind of reminding me of that Seinfeld idea of a show about nothing. Yeah. This is a movie about nothing. But then there's the relationship stuff that happens in there as well. But such of the parts that people love about this movie are the scenes that are just about nothing. Yeah. Just these throwaway scenes that are it's like a sketch movie. They're about the different interactions that they have with customers. They're about the different conversations they've had. And so all of these conversations would have happened on a span of years, all on different days, but they put them all into this one day.
Yeah.
Make it into this movie like that.
Like when he calls up ordering the movies.
Yes. I love that
He's like,
scene.
oh, what'd you want again? Scrappy puppies?
Happy Scrappy. Yeah, that's a beautiful scene. In that one, Randall didn't want to read the list in front of the kid.
I noticed that cut. I
Yeah.
was looking for the cut.
So it cuts away, and he doesn't read any of the dirty titles in front of the kid. But the parent of the kid, who was actually the woman who was holding the kid, that was the parent, didn't mind. So when they actually read the list for the reaction shot. Randall didn't read it because he didn't want to read it in front of them, but I think the girl's brother read it.
I see.
And the kid didn't.
So
the kid was too young.
okay.
The kid's too young to understand, but they get the reaction shot correct for it. So Walt Flanagan,
Yeah, it doesn't even look like it.
Walt Flanagan, who now is star of Comic Book Man on AMC, because he runs Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, the comic book store in New Jersey, which they used to have one out here over in Westwood, which is why everything I've got is signed.
No, that's never happened to me.
Oh, the eggs?
Or
eggs
even
thing?
the milk thing. Like,
Well, I think the milk you don't notice as much, or you don't see. They don't go crazy with it. But they always
I go for milk. Oh, I reach way back.
Everyone does that. They look in the bag and they look for the date. That's a
I look
common
at the
thing.
dates just in the front row, and I just grab the latest one.
That's
That's why you'll
you
never be
do.
a winner.
But I'm saying that all these people that are coming into your store do that. The people coming into your store do that.
Yeah, because
And
I
so
do
you
that all
might
the
have not
time.
just noticed that, but they did that.
And then when you find that one, you're like, oh my god, it's 2 days before the other. It's like, yes.
But the milkmaid was actually Kevin's mom in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is his sister, the woman she's the one who manually masturbates caged animals for artificial insemination. Yeah, so that's his sister. But Walt Flanagan plays 4 or 5 different roles in the movie.
Yeah.
Mostly because like some of them they had cast as other people, but they dropped out. Like the woman, there was some woman that was supposed to be there for the Jizz Mopper comic, which he's actually buying window cleaner and paper towels while they're talking about the Jizz Mopper. So they do that kind of implying that they're doing what they're talking about. He's buying cigarettes.
Yeah.
Kind of unrealistic. They would have had to hear them say cigarettes, maybe, or he's just so used to handing out cigarettes to everyone. But still, Walt Flanagan jumped in.
I bet at the time,
roles.
even the shot of that kid putting the cigarette in her mouth
Oh yeah, that could have
was controversial
yeah,
as fuck.
that definitely added to the rating.
Well, imagine today. Oh god.
Like,
It wasn't even that it lit up at
Yeah.
all. Just having it there, like
Yeah, just having it.
Get
as a cigarette in the mouth.
crucified now if you put that in a movie.
Yeah, if a studio did this, there'd be all the notes going through that. So you can go over those in independent because hey, you already shot it.
So here's
Yeah,
Walt
this-
right again.
This day where this comes up again. But the other one, he's got the gray in his hair to make him look a little older. And he's wearing Kevin's glasses in this one. So yeah, he filled in because the other person dropped out.
Throw
Didn't wanna be
glasses
in that
on like
scene.
he's Superman.
Even Scott Mosier, the producer who plays Willem Black in this one, it was supposed to be someone else to play that one. But they didn't want to be referred to as a snowball person. Guy who like ate his own gum. The actor didn't want to be in that. He's actually shows up later in the hockey scene.
Oh, that's Scott Mosier?
Not this
Snowball?
Scott, Snowball. That's Scott Mosier.
Oh.
He's actually also the jerk who climbs up the ladder when they're playing hockey.
That's him too?
That's him, clean shaven.
Oh, wow.
So he's in first with a full beard, and he yells at himself in that hockey scene. Because Willem Black's down at the bottom. As
Oh, that's
it's the
right.
only special effects in the movie.
And he's gay, right?
No,
Is that
he's
Scott
not gay.
Mosier
He's married.
gay?
Malcolm Ingram is gay.
Oh, that's the one that's gay.
Who's not in this movie. He can show up in later ones, but he's on the commentary track for this one, on the DVD. But yeah, no, Kevin Smith's brother's gay, but he's not. I don't think he was in this movie.
loves the cop.
I was thinking of Malcolm.
Malcolm Ingram. Yeah, because he made Small Town Gay Bar. Yeah. A lot of Kevin's friends went on to make other films
To
too.
make gay films.
Make gay films. Scott Mosier's got that new film coming out called Freebirds. It's about turkeys, animated kids movie. Coming out for Thanksgiving. Anyway,
Did they die? Did they cut off their head?
just I don't know, maybe some of them died, but this one kid doesn't die. He also made a band called Death that's been touring around a lot this year. So he's going on and producing his own stuff without Kevin Smith.
Wow.
Yeah, growing up.
I know.
But anyway,
Look at the price of cigarettes back then.
that's one of the things.
$1.68?
Behind them it says like $95, $95.
$1.95, yeah.
$1.68 for the one. But that's behind Dante when he's got the price gun. He's saying, "Did you ever notice that all the prices end in nines? And none of the prices behind him ends in nines?"
It's
yeah.
funny. I didn't notice. I didn't know.
That's one of the continuity errors. There's another time where the sign that says, if you plan to shoplift, please let us know. When the little kid's buying cigarettes, it disappears and then comes back.
Oh,
There's continuity errors throughout this, but you're not really paying attention to those. That's not what you're
Yeah.
thinking about here. But if you look for them, you'll definitely see them. And they definitely saw them, but they didn't have pickup for
right.
it.
Yeah. They're not gonna.
And they're editing on film at this time, too. You're not editing on digital.
You know what's crazy? Look at 2 liters are still $1.69. 2 liters has like stayed the same price.
Yeah.
Everything else has gone up.
Well, that's still that's the high convenience store prices too, not like the get them at the grocery store under 99 cents. Or
Yeah, convenience
cents.
stores these days, it's getting a 2-liter earlier is a lot more.
Yeah,
like
$7 for a soda.
Still though, $1.69 back then. That seems like a lot for soda.
But so going back to the point on the independent nature of this.
They probably didn't have it down to like a good marketing science yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Or business science, or it's like really cheap.
Yeah.
Just yet. I mean, they might have not been. They're probably. When did they
Well,
start using fake sugar?
Yeah,
when
they started using corn syrup, and that
they were probably
much
still
more.
using real sugar, and so it wasn't as cheap.
Well, corn syrup with all the subsidizing of corn farmers. That's the only reason they did that, because they needed to keep the farming industry.
Because of
going.
Obama taking our jobs.
Yeah, remember back in the 90s when Obama did that?
Oh,
Terrible.
that's when he started, but that's a whole nother story.
He was doing after he was born. I forget. Yeah.
He was born, yeah.
So nowadays with independent
Or was he born in Iraq?
He was born in Hawaii, which is a city in Kenya.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. So independent movies nowadays.
This is like the epitome of an independent film.
Well, like nowadays,
using your friends, like everything.
But if you were to do this nowadays, it's even easier now because you've got the digital camera. You can edit it on your computer.
Yeah.
They had to shoot this on film. Mm-hmm. It's in black and white. Like some people thought that it was in black and white because the convenience store security camera kind of looked like that. No, this black and white film is cheaper.
Way cheaper.
Yeah. It's like making black and white copies or color copies or something. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna make black and white.
I like how it says employee phone. It's a payphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they treat their customers there, their employees there. They don't even give them a free phone to use. Yeah. Very. It's not the biggest convenience store there, I guess.
Not very convenient.
Not very convenient. So they had to edit this film. They had to shoot it on film, edit it on film, have to pay for all the film. So even now, when you're making an independent movie, you can shoot it digitally, shoot it in 1080p. Not have to worry about doing multiple takes because you just put it on another hard drive. You can delete the file and you still have the hard drive space for it.
Yeah.
That one, you shoot something, you want to get it in as few takes as possible because you can't afford that much film. On a lot of the takes they got on the first. Some of them they got on the first take. Some of them took a lot more.
Some they settled,
but that's very fortunate. Yeah, some of them they had to settle on it. There's a lot of long takes in this movie. I hadn't noticed that. The first one I was noticing when I was rewatching was the car scene. And then going back and rewatching it a bunch of times. Yeah, just going back and forth on that. And what I love about the car scene so much is that in all the modern films, you're on a truck bed, you're being driven around with that.
Yeah.
So they're not actually driving. This one, Donnie's actually driving that one.
Yeah.
David Klein, the cinematographer, is in the back with the camera. Kevin Smith's holding the boom mic. You can't have anyone else holding the boom mic because there's not enough room. You need to have Kevin in there to direct the movie. Mm-hmm. So he's got to be in the car. And he said they went out and got McDonald's after that one. And they're actually driving towards when they're.
Did they go through the drive? Like, I hope they went through the drive-through like it.
Just filming. And at the funeral home, they didn't ask permission to film there. They just showed up, took 2 takes of them running there, or going in, and then running away, and going in, and running away.
That's awesome.
And Kevin was saying you can kind of see it. There is a guy looking through the window. That's awesome. Looking through who lived above there. So
I don't know what's going on.
Which is why they never go inside there, because they can't afford the location.
That's awesome.
There's a scene written for that one. And on the DVD, they have it done as an animated scene.
What's so supposed to
There's
happen?
all sorts of craziness in there.
I like it though that you don't know. You make
you can make your own assumption, but something went wrong there. It's a pretty funny scene, and it's even funnier now because it's done by the same animators who did the animated series. And it's more in the style of the animated series, so it's a little wackier. And they also include characters from Mallrats and Chasing Amy in it because they're part of the universe now, where at the time they wouldn't have been. So it's fun to look back on that scene. But it's kind of weird in that movie, not like... with everything else being shown in the movie and they're talking about it, they're like, we're going to go to this funeral, and we're going to drive away and not worry about something that happened in there. Yeah. Do they even say, I can't even remember, they say that the casket gets knocked over?
Yeah.
They say that.
They talk about it.
He knocked over the casket and the body fell out.
Yeah. The story of how that happened.
He defiled
kind of funny. Yeah.
With his penis?
Yep.
I think with his hand.
Probably.
Yeah, I would think with
But, not that crazy. Yeah, clean-shaven Scott Mosier. I didn't even rewatching it. I'd forgotten it was
weird.
him. I didn't recognize him because he's a beard. He always has a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Surprised he's not in
Very
it more
interesting.
so.
It's the thing of they're acting. They're not playing such lofty characters. You're not playing.
But his character compared to the yeah, man, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, very different character. So it plays well for that. But I think that's kind of you can see that Kevin Smith is actually a good director in this because when he can get people to play normal people. There are some people where you don't get that out of, where they're not, they're still acting.
Yeah.
Like the guy with the Pringles can. He's definitely acting in that one and playing a character.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that.
But with so many other people, you can get, he's able to get them just being themselves, just being some guys playing hockey.
And look what a shithole jersey looks like. This part actually wasn't black and white. It just looks that
that's just
bad.
how it looks. Oh, jersey. Yeah. Looks terrible.
And look at the ground.
Yeah, there's Scott Mosier yelling at Scott Mosier. Jersey looks terrible. In Clerks 2, they use Buena Park to be New Jersey.
Do they?
Yeah. So Jersey looks a lot better in that one.
Yeah.
They filmed in Jersey too for that one too. But yeah. So your favorite scene would be the Star Wars contractor?
Yeah, that was just when I remember watching it in the film. It's what I remembered, and it's just like that's what made me enjoy and want to see more Kevin Smith stuff because that was just really clever. Like to think about stuff like that and something that me and my friends could talk about, which we did after watching this.
Yeah,
talk about all this crap. So yeah,
that's like you have other conversations with that.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite parts of this one? Any ones that stood out to you?
Well, like the scene I mentioned earlier with the coworkers talking about the sex, because that was just because it happened to me. Like I was like laughing to myself.
You could relate to that one.
The girl finding out she had sex with a dead body.
Mm-hmm.
That was really funny.
Pretty jarring.
That was really funny because I instantly remembered about I instantly went the old man.
Yep.
All right. Okay. She just had sex with the old man.
There's all those things that build up, like the lights shut off in there. Remember, the lights are off. That's gonna be a problem. Them leaving, the guy's gonna use the restroom. It's a little odd scene. Then they, don't talk about him again. They leave for a while and come back. Everything just builds up to that, and
I would smack that old man.
It's some crazy stuff for that to go on in this convenience store in a movie that's mostly about just people talking about relationships.
Yeah,
like. It's a pretty crazy thing to happen in there. The original ending for this movie, they have the original cut on the DVD, which is the one that he submitted to the guy who helped him get into Sundance. And that person made him change the ending. Because the original ending was after Randall leaves and they're closing
up. After they get into a fight?
Yeah, it's after they get into a fight and they make up and all of that. And Randall throws the sheet out and says, "You're closed," and walks out, and then the music starts up. Originally, after that, Brian goes back around the counter to close up, and you hear the ding go open, and he says, "We're closed," and some guy comes in and robs him, shoots him.
Oh.
What? Yep. Dante dies in the original ending to this movie. And that's how Clerks ends.
Oh, that would have been lame.
And like the person that made him change it told Kevin, like, you've made the audience like this character, and now you're just shooting him in the end because you don't have an ending. That's the only reason you're doing it. And if you think about it, like all the stuff that's going on after that, it wouldn't have been able to develop into that. You definitely couldn't have had a sequel, but you can have him showing up again in the other things, and it would have been such a different note.
It changes the whole world, though. Like,
yeah. Because it ends, even though it ends, they've got the sex with the dead guy thing, and his girlfriend leaves him. He can't be with the other girl. Like he's ruined. He got in the fight with his friend, but they made up. He's still stuck in this job that he hates.
Yeah.
But he's got no girlfriend, and just being shot at the end would have been, such a darker ending to it. But it's still a little lighter of an ending that they make up, and you're like, okay, everything's good. Music comes up, and you walk away a little happier with it. That would have been
That would have been horrible.
I don't know if it could have that could have changed the entire culture of how this film was
Oh
received
yeah,
after that.
I mean that could have like made or broken his career.
It's not a buddy film anymore. It's like, because there's no Randall coming in at the end and finding him. It's just him being shot, and that's it.
That's lame.
Now, as a writer, I like killing everyone off in my movies. At the end. In all my scripts, like that's just fun to do. But just killing the main character in that, it's just like, why? So I can see why he'd do it as a writer. I'd like doing it as a writer, but after getting to know these characters, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to kill them. You just want to see more of them. So, let's see. I think I'll start with my ratings of this movie. Because I don't know. No, I don't know if I want to start it with mine. I mean, you guys go first. I will say that I think of it... I'd give it a different rating if I had seen this for the first time now than having seen it when I did. I think I don't know, if I saw it for the first time now, I might give it... I'd probably end up giving it 4 stars, just knowing about the independent stuff with it. Mm-hmm. But because of what they did, but it's just like with the other films that we've seen. It's there's still room to go. I'd still like to see it more, but because of the impact it had on me at the time, it registered as a 5-star movie for me, and that's what I gave it on Netflix, and still lists that now. And it's so most of that is the impact that it's had on me. So I give it 5 stars now. What would you give this movie?
Well, the same as you. I put it down as 5, and if it would have been lower if I had just watched it.
You didn't see it when you saw it.
Yeah.
So how about you? Seeing it for the first time. You're the actual fresh
eyes.
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
Beautiful.
But you've been familiar with Kevin Smith's stuff before.
I love Dogma, and that movie's so great, and I like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
And you've known about this movie.
Yeah, I've known. Known of it is in that it's Kevin Smith, and and some of it was his earlier work. Like that's basically what I knew of it.
Yeah.
It's weird that you've never seen it.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, he hasn't seen a lot of movies. There's a lot of
But if he likes the Kevin Smith stuff, I just thought it was weird that he's never seen.
Well, there's liking the Kevin Smith stuff, and then there's the ones that he's seen are the biggest wider release of the movies.
Yeah.
I think when you for me seeing Mallrats, that's one that it's still early enough in his career that and it's not one of the big wide release movies that it gives me that interest of I'm going to see what else he's done. Whereas seeing something like Dogma, that's just and especially showing them on Comedy Central and stuff, you're like, oh, that was a good movie. Mm-hmm. Dogma may have been the first one I've seen, but I can't remember when the first time I saw Dogma was because they were playing it on TV. Mm-hmm. But I definitely went and saw it afterwards. If you see it on TV, you don't see the giant shit monster in Dogma.
What?
Have you seen it on TV, or did you see the actual movie?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they cut out the shit monster.
I don't see why.
I don't know why they wouldn't show a giant monster of shit on TV.
I think that's weird.
It's weird that they don't show it, but they don't. At least when I saw it on TV, they didn't. They may now, because how regulations change over time.
It's just poop.
But he's in a big bag and it's on fire.
If he was in a bag, it wouldn't be as much of a problem.
Don't use your poop.
All right, so this one didn't have that much poop in it. So, but what did you?
If we ever make a film, I'm censoring every pile of poop, and the main character's always gonna walk his dog, and every pile of poop will be censored.
Just bars. But you can see the tips.
Yeah.
How many piles of poop are normally in a movie?
Or it'll be like the tiny censor bar right at the tip.
There's another one where the long-haired girl there is actually one of the guys. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I gave this movie 3 stars, which shouldn't be that surprising to you guys.
That's not that surprising. Yeah.
I don't think that's a very surprising rating for me.
Sounds about
but I'll accept that.
Yeah.
It
was
At least you didn't give it some in-betweeners numbers.
Some enjoyable. Well, I'm not gonna.
I'm
not gonna diss this film.
3 stars is like it.
So everybody can hate you
by saying
there are plenty of
the same rating as In-Betweeners.
There are plenty of people on the internet who have hated this film. There are plenty of people who hate Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
there are people who love this film and hate
yeah.
Kevin Smith. he attracts a lot of hate because he is so into he's into that culture, like he's permeated that culture. And speaking at Comic-Con every year, like he invites the crowds that watch his stuff are the crowds that spread all the hate on the internet.
I can appreciate the humor. I'm just,
yeah,
some of it, gets me, and just some of it doesn't.
Yeah, I think this is it's one of those movies that it's really great if you come into watching it at the right time in your life, and it also depends on what other movies are out there in the world, because now this type of stuff is more popular.
Yeah. I was gonna say how you say that he kind of invites like the shit talkers.
Yeah,
I like him because I've been to a few of his things at Comic-Con, and usually they have somebody who watches the mic, and he's like, no, get him away. They need to watch the mic. So on YouTube, they had that little fat kid that was talking shit about him, why he makes shitty movies, and just people talk shit, and then he just goes off on them.
Yeah, he's great with talking against them, and that comes up in James and the Bob Strike Back. Thing about the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's what's like now that he's on all these podcasts, you get to hear a lot more from him. He's just such a nice guy. That it's really sad when I hear these, like, the way they talk shit on him. Like, you say you don't like one of his movies, and like that's fine, but you have to go and yell at him.
Yeah.
These are actually from Comic-Con.
Oh yeah,
The
limited
dress.
release.
Yeah, says you picked those up for me. I didn't get to go, but yeah.
Color black and white.
So it's still popular nowadays. They release these little figures. Just released this last year at Comic-Con.
Next year too. It's gonna be the 20th, right?
Yeah,
They have a bunch of shit for that.
Well, that's we've been working on Clerks 3 for it. That'd be really good if they got Clerks 3 out for that.
Yeah.
But maybe there'll be another even more super edition of the
Super duper
release, because that DVD release was pretty good. Except the one thing it doesn't have on it is the original TV pilot from 1995, the TV show Clerks, a live-action one that Kevin Smith had no involvement in.
Oh God, I want to see that.
I saw it. There's 18 seconds of it on YouTube that I was able to find, and that 18 seconds is terrible. It is so bad. Jim Brewer plays Randall, I think. And
Raymond plays a...
So they both, Brian Holler and Jeff Anderson, auditioned for Dante because they had already cast Randall. Neither of them got it, and they said afterwards they're both very happy, but they didn't get it. Kevin Smith had submitted a script for it for one of the episodes, and they didn't take it. He later used that as one of the animated. The stories were for one of the animated episodes. So they didn't have any involvement with there. They were going to have Jay and Silent Bob in there, but Kevin Smith reminded Buena Vista Entertainment, ABC Disney, that he owned those characters. So while they could use everything else because they own the movie, he retained the rights for Jay and Silent Bob. That's why they go on and do all the crazy stuff, and he used them so much more. So the character is actually called Ray instead of Jay.
See, Ray.
So Ray.
Hey,
Completely different.
Completely different.
Like Jim and Jim on The Office.
I would say, yeah. So I would say if you like this movie at all, I recommend other Kevin Smith stuff. Mostly, like if you like the comedic parts of it, go on and watch Mallrats. If you like the dramatic parts of it, go on and watch Chasing Amy. If you liked it entirely, if you like these characters, then Clerks 2, really good to follow up with that. If you
give it less horrible, watch Jersey Girl. Just a
I
reminder.
don't think there's any correlation between those two movies. I wouldn't recommend Jersey Girl unless you just really want to watch a lot of them. I liked it, but I don't recommend it.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
That's the thing. I enjoyed it, but I'm saying unless you're really into watching all of his movies, I wouldn't recommend it as much. There's other places you can go with this depending on what you liked of it. If you gave it less than 3 stars, if you look at this as a 2-star or less movie, that's when I wouldn't recommend other things with him. But I think as long as you give it 3 stars, there's still... And you like the other ones, the other two that we've seen. Dogman, Chance, and Bob Strike Back.
I saw Chasing Amy as well.
Oh,
kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. That was...
Until you started describing them.
Yeah, back in high school, that one really affected me. It's the one, like, romantic dramedy.
Like, super emo-ish.
Yeah.
I do think Dogman's my favorite.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, really good. This isn't one of my favorite. This isn't my favorite of his films. But it was.
Which one's your favorite?
That's tough. I don't even know. Tony, what's your favorite Kevin Smith movie?
That's a hard one because I really do like Dogma, but at that point when I watched it like really made me think about like life.
Different years, I've had different favorites.
Fuck movies that make you think about life. Huh?
Like Dogma was my favorite at one time. Mallrats was my favorite at another time.
Yeah, but Mallrats is so funny though.
But then like Jane and the Bob Strike Back, I love the comedy of that
just
one.
hilarious.
But it's just silly. I think Mallrats is probably my favorite one of all of them. But Clerks the Animated Series is my favorite thing to come out of any of it. But that's not a movie. Cop Out, of course. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the scripts are done. I like a lot of the things that Clerks is, and this. I love it for all the things that when you know all the surroundings of it. So it's a standalone movie. It's not as strong, but in the limited nature that came into making it, it just becomes one of those things. So it was really impactful for me. It used to actually, Clerks at one time was my favorite movie. Yeah, it's jumped around a lot. Anyway, so it's good stuff. So next week. Steph,
Next week.
choice?
I had two on mind, and one of them, I think I've realized that you guys have already seen, and I'd rather just pick something that you guys haven't seen.
Okay.
And so I'm picking. You might have. In all odds, you probably have seen this movie.
Clueless.
But it's a movie that I really like, and we've never done a movie about World War II.
We've never done a world movie about
Have
World
we
War
done
II? I'm trying to think now. I gotta look back on it, because we might have...
I don't think so.
We might have done stuff that took place around World War II, not necessarily in there. What years did Ip Man take place during?
Probably older than
Big Fish, was there war something?
I don't really know that.
Big Fish might have. There
That's
was
probably
a war.
Oh, Sino-Japanese War. That was 19... Actually, it might have been after. I think it might have been 40? I don't know. I don't know my history, though. So.
Yeah. If we knew history better, we'd know about them. But not directly World War II.
Anyway, so
what's your World War II movie?
The Pianist.
Ah.
The Penis. I've seen that one.
You've seen The Big Penis?
I actually haven't seen that one yet.
Really?
Oh,
No,
my.
I haven't. So...
You've seen it, though, Tony. The Pianist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen it too, right?
Yeah, of course.
You guys
Yeah.
kind of share a nose there, maybe a little bit.
He doesn't have quite Brody nose.
I don't have quite the Adrian Brody nose.
All right, so we'll be discussing The Pianist.
Yes.
Um,
The Pianist.
It's like a piano player, just so you're not searching for other movies in there.
Adrian Brody's
starring Adrian Brody's nose.
The cock.
His nose is on the cover.
Just the nose. He has a nose like
Really
Lois
fit too much,
Person.
you can't fit too much else on there. All right, we'll talk about that one next week. It'll be all terrible.
For more anti-Semitism, John. Gosh darn.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.